Support for this program provided by Howard K. and Nancy B. Cohen.
A century ago, the Swamp Buggy was born. But it wasn't enough to use these rugged vehicles to explore the Everglades. The folks of Naples, Florida souped up their creations and began racing.
Over, under, around, and through the mud, the wackiest race in history is on.
Die-hard fans and drivers have kept the races alive since 1949, when Naples was but a blip on the map between untamed wilderness and Gulf beaches, when locals were known more for their grit than their writs. The races recall a version of Naples that's almost gone.
This is really the last bit of culture that we have with all the development. I meet people all the time and they say they'd never met a native before. Well, you should come to the Swamp Buggy Races because we're all out here.
This is like our little local hometown sport that we take very seriously.
We're the only place in the world that does this.
A lot of people see this sport and they're like, oh, it's a bunch of redneck hillbillies, blah, blah, blah. No, these guys are mechanical geniuses, honestly.
Like Taylor's stepfather, Eddie Chesser.
You know, the motor's the only thing that you can probably buy and throw in there, but still, everything else, you got to figure it out yourself.
Eddie Chesser is part of a racing dynasty stretching back to his grandma Myrtle.
It's in my blood. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to do it, to be honest with you. Doesn't make any sense.
Swamp Buggy Fever is real.
Go cold up!
It's not your average Oldsmobile, I can tell you that much.
It is close to maxed out.
Once you get in that seat, it's a whole new ball game.
Get out there, sit back, shifter, and just hammer down. Hammer down.
I can't live in this world and not be racing swamp buggies.
Each race brings new challenges. Heading into the January 2025 races, Eddie Chesser was the driver to beat.
I'm retired, which is not good for my competitors because I got way too much time on my hands to try to go faster.
Yet victory is never assured when machines and water mingle on the mile of mud. Swamp buggies were created to solve a problem. Hunters needed vehicles that would not get stuck in the muck of the woods and the wetlands. Naples resident Ed Frank invented the swamp buggy around the 1920s.
And back then, the Florida Everglades was water almost year long, you know what I'm saying? And it was really up to your chest most of the time. So he had to make a vehicle that could navigate the Florida Everglades and be all super dependable.
He gained a reputation as a master machinist, though his family said his schooling stopped around the 3rd grade.
He learned his machinist skills from correspondence courses, which blows me away, you know, because the guy was incredible. And I guess, you know, the pioneers back then had to do that because they had to be able to survive.
Ed Frank opened a garage on 5th Avenue South in downtown Naples.
He never threw a part away because as soon as you threw the part away, you needed it. And that's what he did. That's how he built the Swamp Buggy from junk.
The buggy caught on. Early versions included parts from Model A's with orange crates for seats, and later, Jeeps and airplane tires left over from World War II.
Every Swamp Buggy was its own person. It had its own personality, its own quirks, its own capabilities, its weaknesses.
Ray Carroll inherited his grandfather's buggy, Mr. Pogo.
The oldest parts of the buggy are coming up on 100 years old now. Might be the Model A parts. And not very many people have the opportunity to keep something that a member of their family built from scratch. I'm still using it and will until one of us breaks.
Hunting buggies evolved into racing buggies. In 1949, a group of journalists was coming to Naples. Local businessmen asked hunters to entertain the riders with a buggy race and parade.
This is the vehicle that the natives of Naples, Florida use to transport this quiet town into a rip-roaring celebration.
The quirky event became an annual gathering that included the crowning and dunking of a queen. Swamp Buggy Days captivated audiences across the state and the nation.
But they don't need turnpikes in Naples. They have swamp buggies. The Derby draws big crowds each year.
Like I say, it was the cultural event of the year then. There was no Ritz-Carlton, there was no Naples Orchestra, none of that existed.
The excitement lured Franklin Adams from Miami.
Yeah, this is my buggy stump jumper, and that's me. And we're beginning to get into trouble right there. We're getting stuck.
The mud made for a heck of a show, earning the moniker the world's muddiest race.
Nobody really took it serious among ourselves. You know, you brought that piece of crap out here again, I'm going to kick you, you know.
Franklin Adams won his class twice, but was at a disadvantage when it came to prizes handed out at the parade.
So I said to one of the local guys that I'd gotten to know you from the race, I said, how come we're better than that buggy over there? Look at us, look at that. He said, are you from Naples? Oh, okay, no. Second place.
A favorite of spectators was Tumblebug, which now lives at a local museum.
Tumblebug is my uncle's buggy, Paul Frank. He used to pop wheelies, and he was very careful doing it, as he also had good brakes, you know what I'm saying?
All the old pamphlets and everything would have Tumblebug on it, rearing up, and you'd see two people in the front seat, and then you see a little guy in the back. That was David, okay? He was always on Tumblebug.
Early on, women wore pioneer dresses, before the Queen of the Swamps adopted glamour. Driver Randy Alander's mother, Dolly, was a queen.
And that's the court there, the whole court there. Of course, we knew every gal in there we knew.
But his mom was not thrilled with the custom of dunking the queen.
I think she was like holding her nose, taking, you know, going in and making sure she popped back up and the world was still there.
In the 1970s, the creativity and ingenuity of builders took the Buggies to the next level. Another family sped forward, the Chessers.
That is the man, Leonard Chesser.
Leonard Chesser is known as the godfather of swamp buggy racing.
The first guy to show up with a set of the front skis that we all run now was Leonard Chesser. And when he showed up at the track with him, I'll never forget it. He had sheets over the front of the buggy, so he was all secretive. And then when he pulled out there, he popped the sheets off and went out there and blasted a lap. He brought a lot of innovation to the sport, Leonard did. And so did Lonnie.
Lonnie Chesser was Leonard's younger brother and Eddie Chesser's father.
They competed against each other and everybody else tried to keep up with them.
That's Lonnie Chesser in the Outlaw.
Eddie recalled one way his father made his buggies faster.
He come out with the first blower, you know, a supercharged blower. And when he went out there and he took off, it was unbelievable.
The addition worried the racing board.
They were scared of it. Somebody's gonna get hurt. A piece come flying off and hit the stands. So they said, look, Lonnie, we gotta outlaw the blowers and turbochargers and nitrous oxide. It was like the night before the race, we're like, look, we're gonna name this buggy the Outlaw. I'm like, they want to outlaw everything I do, so we're naming it the Outlaw. And that's where it came from.
The Chesser brothers racked up wins as the unconventional sport attracted more national interest. Timex shot a commercial at the track.
Well, you saw the pounding our swamp buggy took. Now let's see how our Timex took it.
Leonard Chesser appeared on the game show to tell the truth.
Number 3. My name is Leonard Chesser.
And took Vice President Hubert Humphrey on a memorable buggy ride. In later years, ESPN and TNN televised the races.
You see Eddie Chesser here in Outlaw, no longer.
The fever spread to younger generations.
We worked on racing buggies every single weekend. There was no going to the beach with your friends. There was no sleepovers, play dates. It was get up at 9 o'clock, you work in the shop until dark, you win races in the shop. So that was my dad's motto.
Amy's brother, Glenn Chesser, races too. Their cousin Eddie and his father Lonnie also built buggies together. Eddie Chesser blasted onto the racing scene after serving in the Army as a paratrooper.
I won my first big feature in '92, and that's the big trophy on the right. Oh, you can see it up there.
The trophies have got smaller through the years. As you can see how they go down.
Winners earn cash, but it pales in comparison to the time and the cost they invest.
It doesn't pay off. It's not worth the money. It's an expensive hobby.
The prizes do include bragging rights. Eddie has the most season championships of any driver and carries on the outlaw name. His cousin Amy sought to leave a legacy too.
This was my four-wheel drive buggy.
Her father Leonard saw potential, as he told NPR in 2007.
She had her own four-wheeler when she was a year and a half old. 3 years old, she'd drive my airboat around in the yard.
I said it from the time I was probably 10, 11 years old. I want to be the first woman to ever win the Swamp Buggy Races.
Women used to be relegated to powder puff races.
After all, what lady doesn't love a mud pack?
Obviously, it's a male-dominant sport. So he's like, you don't give them any slack. Don't let them come over in your lane. If they are, hit them. And you keep your half of the track. The kids that, followed me and were my fans, their parents always told them, if Amy wins the big feature, you guys don't have to go to school on Monday. So, I have all these kids rooting me on. Come on, Amy, come on. I don't want to go to school tomorrow.
In 2008, after 6 decades of swamp buggy racing, Amy Chesser became the first woman to win the big feature, the final race of the day.
Well, all my family and all my fans jumping in the water. Yeah, it was an amazing moment.
The competition is strong, but so are the bonds that tie local families. Long before Amy Chesser married Scotty McCandless, Scotty's father raced Amy's father.
This picture right here is very iconic because this is my father, Leonard Chesser, and then this is Scotty's dad, Roger.
Oh yeah, he was the top dog for years and years, and I finally went out there and dethroned him. But we shook hands, and he said, I said, well, to be the best, I got to beat the best.
Scotty and Amy merged the names of her father's buggy, Dat's de One, with his father's Rat On to make Dat's de Rat. But in 2023, a crime imperiled more than just their racing futures.
The bullet stopped right before it would have put me into a stroke that would have killed me.
And then this is like where I got shot here, and then they shot me like right here. So
Amy and Scotty were shot while riding in their pickup truck, causing them to crash. Scotty's ex-wife and 2 men were later arrested in connection with the murder plot.
Our detectives have been working hard to process evidence in this heinous crime.
The Swamp Buggy community supported them as Scotty and Amy fought to recover.
if you would have told me then that we were ever going to be in a racing buggy again, I would have told you you're crazy.
The main reason we are standing here is because of the way our fathers raised us. You know, they raised us tough, and we believe that we were raised by other people that we wouldn't have had what we call grit to survive what we've been through.
That grit led them to plan a return to racing.
So we go back to our neurosurgeon. He's like, he goes, yeah, you guys are, you're just as much able to do this stuff as anybody else.
How do I tell my children, yeah, I'm the first woman to ever win the Swamp Buggy races, but I can't race anymore because, you know, I got shot. So it's definitely a goal. It gives us something to look forward to because so much has been taken from us. It keeps our family together.
Their daughter Bristol is next in line.
So then hopefully one day, I may not see it, but Scott and Amy will see Bristol. My granddaughter, you put her in there and tell her what to do and she'll do it. She has no fear.
The dynasty grows from Eddie Chesser too, with his stepson Taylor Edmonds.
I want people to find out about this and love it as much as I did as a kid. Eddie was actually, he was my idol. And then when my mom said she was going on a date with Eddie Chesser, I was like, are you serious? And I was really excited and telling my brothers, like, what if mom marries Eddie Chesser? And my mom's like, that's not gonna happen. And now they've been married for a long, long time, so.
Taylor drives a buggy named Your Mom.
You feel like you're on a roller coaster in a sense. So Sometimes it doesn't feel great when you're behind and you're getting pelted in the face with water, as I have. But when you're out in front, it's amazing.
And yet he's well acquainted with the dangers. Years ago, his stepfather Eddie almost drowned after his buggy flipped. The safety crew rushed to the rescue.
Somebody that was a patron jumped the fence and actually helped get him out. But yeah, knowing that stuff, you fear that.
Eventually, his turn came.
My flip was actually a really violent flip. It wasn't just like a, some of them they teeter over and they're like, oh, he's gonna go, and then he goes. No, mine was like, wha-boom, and I kind of like twisted at the same time. And so the regulator flew somehow off of my neck. So when I went to grab it, it wasn't there, and I started panicking.
Taylor couldn't find his air supply and was trapped until the safety crew pulled him out.
My team. My son flipped in the corner. He's at the hospital. They're fixing his arm, so he's going to be all right.
This season looked better for Taylor and Eddie. In the January 2025 races, Eddie was chasing a record for the most big feature wins.
Right now, I'm tied with my uncle.
This man is the winningest Swamp Buggy driver in history.
They're saying that he has 26, and I got 26. So, my next win, I'll have the most big feature wins out there.
But he's keeping his strategy to himself.
Why it's at my advantage, I want to try to keep it top secret.
The next morning, the buggies parade through downtown Naples.
Oh, Mom.
Taylor's buggy name inspires playful exchanges.
Hey, your mom!
No, your mom! Your mom!
Local historians consider the parade and the race the oldest tradition in Naples, which has vastly changed since the first 1949 celebration, from small town to posh destination, with relentless development and no space for swamp buggy races. They're now held in the outskirts of Naples at the Florida Sports Park. After the parade, the buggies line up for inspection.
Inspection area, we go through all the buggies to make sure they're meeting our criteria, what we have to do for safety.
Friends and family gather, including Taylor's mom and Eddie's wife, Nicole Chesser.
It's a fun time. It's just very time-consuming and dangerous.
Yeah.
Taylor and Eddie practice, then assess.
You think your motor's not revving up all the way?
I'm just going to take it back to the shop, and we're going to, check everything over really good. And hopefully we get luck on our side tomorrow.
The next morning, fans new and true trickle in for the big day. Kim Kelsey has been a regular since he was 14.
Nowhere in the world does it do this. So listen to these guys. This is 900 horsepower right now coming at you.
Teresa Langford began watching her husband race in the 1970s. Terry Langford was a legend too. The tradition carries on with her sons.
I don't have to be out here, but I just feel the urge that I need to be here to support my boys.
Desmond Wilson is a dedicated member of Eddie's pit crew.
I asked him if I could work out here with him. He was like, yeah, come on. Ended up getting in the pits. I loved it. I love being around it.
VIP tours include a stop with another buggy celeb, Lori Johns.
Runs Lady Liberty. Want to get her autograph.
There are not a lot of women out here driving, and that can make it kind of tough at times. I'll sit out there sometimes at the starting line waving at the driver next to me, but I get nothing in return sometimes because they're serious, and I'm just not as serious because I still see it as just fun.
Before the races, some course basics for the uninitiated.
It's a standing start, green flag waves, and you go out, and it's like a figure eight. You go through what's called the short chute in the center, and then one complete lap around the outside.
We're in 2 feet of water. We have 2 holes. One's about 6 foot deep, and one's about 5 foot deep. They have to go across.
The top buggies can reach more than 60 miles an hour. At those speeds, water equals risk.
These buggies will be racing beside each other, and the spray's going, it's like a boat wave. If you get out of that wave and the water's on top of you, your visibility's done.
The winner of each heat moves on, and the fastest races are less than a minute. And the record is held by this guy.
Dan Greenling. I drive the Pro Mod Roll-On.
Number 47.97. The reason for that number is that's track record. Fastest lap ever run out here in 76 years.
Pro mods are typically the fastest, Eddie's class. There are also Jeeps, air-cooled engines, 4-cylinder, 6-cylinder, and the V8 Sportsman, Taylor's class. On race day, Taylor and Eddie wait in the pits. Other family members are there in spirit.
It's right there. Right here.
We have a little container of his ashes.
It says Dad.
So he rides with me every time.
He's always with me. Yep.
His father, Lonnie Chesser, died in 2014. His uncle, Leonard Chesser, died in 2024. In a testament to Leonard's legacy, his buggy is memorialized at the track. The race day lineup shows Taylor facing Laurie Johns. His anxiety ramps up.
My flip was against this buggy. I've only beaten the buggy one time, and it was ironically when she wasn't driving. It was her husband driving. So she's kind of like my boogeyman a little bit. So hopefully I can beat her today. We'll see.
Laurie Johns in the Lady Liberty. She knows her way around this track.
Lady Liberty appears first around the bend, but Taylor slices the gap in a straightaway and widens the lead. Your Mom wins.
We went down the straightaway, and I just felt this thing just go.
And I stayed in tight, but I just didn't have enough for you. So
no, you were great. Thank you so much.
You did awesome.
Taylor worries about his next competitor, the driver of All Ducked Up.
Dave Rodriguez, yeah, and he's running really well. His time that they have on the sheet is really fast. So that's a bit concerning if it's accurate.
Your Mom and All Ducked Up start strong. David Rodriguez pulls ahead and maintains the lead. He clinches the win and a hug from Mom. Taylor wasn't sure what went wrong.
Felt like it was just not really going anywhere and spinning, and even down the front straightaway. And then on the back straightaway, it felt like it darted away from me, which is dangerous.
David Rodriguez went on to win 2 more races, securing a track record in one and almost flipping in another.
These wins do not come easy, I can tell you that. I mean, there's buggies tore up everywhere.
That was exciting.
It's a tough sport. This water does weird things to these things, and it's never the same. You think you got it figured out, and you don't.
With All Ducked Up dominating Taylor's class, the focus turns to Eddie Chesser and the Outlaw. He faces Brian Langford in Convoy next. The Chessers and the Langfords count a half-century of competition. Eddie runs hard around the corner. His buggy tips, then slams down. Pieces of his wheel fly off in the straightaway. But Eddie doesn't let up and wins.
That's a racing right there.
Eddie Chesser's heading to the big feature, the final race of the day. But there's a problem. Eddie needs new wheels. His crew rushed to pick up replacements, but have not returned. His opponent, Dave Brewer, the driver of Backdraft, is willing to wait.
I'm not going out there without Eddie.
Time is running out. In the end, the crew switches the bad tire to the inside, where there's less pressure in the turns.
We're gonna go like this. We're going like this. It's meant to be, it's meant to be.
Though new wheels arrive, Eddie doesn't want to hold up the final.
We don't have time, man. I can ask. Let's just do it, man.
All right, fireman!
Oh, God.
Race fans, are you ready? This is going to be one heck of a race. This will be close.
It's the Outlaw versus Backdraft. Eddie Chesser is a mile of mud from his Uncle Leonard's all-time winning record. The Outlaw grabs the lead.
Come on, Dad!
Backdraft fights to keep up. The buggies roar into the final lap. Near the finish, The outlaw's other wheel shreds as Eddie Chesser seizes victory.
So fast, he already tore out 2 tires in the last 2 races.
Thank you for supporting this sport. I want to dedicate this race to my Uncle Leonard. I just beat his record today, and I couldn't do it without him and my dad. Thank you guys for coming.
Good job, congratulations.
He dunks the queen, soaking in the swamp and the moment.
You know, records are meant to be broke. You know, I hated to break my uncle's, but I'm sure he'd want me to do it than somebody else.
Here we go. I need you to.
Love you, Eddie.
Eddie,
I'll see you next year, bud.
my brother a trophy.
I do.
The next generations will be chasing his record.
Mama, look at Outlaw's wheel.
As Swamp Buggy Fever lives on.
Don't forget to tell your friends, tell your families that you were at the world-famous Mile of Mud and the world-famous Swamp Buggy Races.
Support for this program provided by Howard K. and Nancy B. Cohen,